Beneath the towering glass of modern Wall Street stands a building lost in time, a cradle of democracy that once held the breath of a nation. Here, on these steps, the first President of the United States laid his hand upon a Bible, as a republic drew its first breath. Historic reenactment of George Washington taking the oath, people watching in awe. This is the story of Federal Hall, the first U.S. Capitol, the site of George Washington's inauguration, and the sacred ground where the Constitution came alive. Long before America had presidents or a constitution, this was Dutch territory, New Amsterdam. By 1700, it was British New York, a city pulsing with commerce, immigrants, and ambition. In 1703, a simple city hall stood here, not yet a federal landmark, but it was already a center of power, justice, and civic duty. This was where the seeds of self-governance began to grow. Before it was Federal Hall, it was a training ground for democracy. In the aftermath of Revolution, the building was renovated to match its destiny, reborn as Federal Hall, seat of the new national government. New York played a crucial role in the American Revolution, as battleground, prize, and eventual capital. By 1785, with the Articles of Confederation still guiding a fragile union, Congress met in the old City Hall. The nation was struggling. No taxes, no executive, no court. Just 13 arguing states trying to stay united. The country was a collection of squabbling colonies. Federal Hall would become the anvil where the Republic was forged. In 1787, the Constitutional Convention met in Philadelphia. A new document was born, but it would be in Federal Hall, not Philadelphia, where it found its voice. As the Constitution was ratified, New York was chosen as the temporary capital. Federal Hall would now host the very first Federal Congress. Here, the first Congress met. Here, the Bill of Rights was introduced. Here, the fragile experiment of self-rule took its first breath. April 30th, 1789. A day that would echo through history. Before cheering crowds, George Washington stepped onto the balcony of Federal Hall, placed his hand upon a Bible, and took the oath of office as the first President of the United States. Washington, I solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. He bowed to the crowd, visibly shaken. There was no model to follow. Only faith, hope, and the Constitution. That moment transformed Federal Hall into the nation's sacred ground. Inside these walls, democracy struggled to walk. Alexander Hamilton defends the National Bank. James Madison pushes for the Bill of Rights. The first Congress passed the Judiciary Act, establishing a Supreme Court. They created executive departments, Treasury, War, and State. They debated and approved the Bill of Rights, defining liberty. Everything from your freedom of speech to your right to trial. Those ideas were sculpted right here. In 1790, the capital moved to Philadelphia, and later, Washington, D.C. Federal Hall faded from political spotlight, but never from memory. The original building was demolished in 1812, a devastating loss to American heritage. Imagine if Independence Hall had been torn down. That's how significant this place was. Federal Hall reborn. New structure rises. 1842 neoclassical Federal Hall, built as U.S. Custom House. In its place, a grand new structure rose. A custom house turned sub-treasury, designed in Greek Revival style. Vaults under the building. Money being deposited in the 1800s. It served the country again during financial crises, even holding millions in gold. Today, it is no longer a political heart, but a memorial to one. A living monument. Federal Hall stands not as a ruin, but a living monument. Where Wall Street now bustles, democracy once took its trembling first steps. It is a place where history whispers louder than the stock exchange nearby. Federal Hall reminds us, the Republic was not born with certainty. It was born with courage. Nations are not born in palaces. They are born in places like this: simple stone, honest voices, a trembling hand on a Bible. This is more than a building. This is Federal Hall, where a nation took its first breath.